There is something that we need to break down and break through in order to set a new foundation, to create something new. We need to start with a clean slate first, and it's going to be powerful, and it's going to be shocking, and it's going to be something that's going to rattle you. Hi everyone, Heather here with astrologywithheather.com, and I'm back with another super exciting extended 2-week forecast. And this one is for the entire waning phase of the lunar cycle, beginning of course with the total blood moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Taurus. This eclipse is a huge energy, just like all eclipse energies are, but this is a particularly potent eclipse because not only is it with the North Node, which is going to be catapulting us forward into strange new beginnings in a conjunction with Uranus, but it's also a total eclipse. This is one of the most powerful full moon eclipses that you can experience. And this one is going to be activating an energy that we've been dealing with and trying to sort through since the beginning of 2021. That is the ongoing Saturn-Uranus square, which is no longer coming super exact, but it's so close to being exact right now still. And this eclipse is going to be, again, in a conjunction with Uranus and squaring Saturn. That means we are going to have to pivot. There is something that we need to break down and break through in order to set a new foundation, to create something new. We need to start with a clean slate first. And the process of getting there might be deeply uncomfortable. That's because with the North Node and the eclipse and Uranus in the sign of Taurus, we are going to have to work through our comfort zones. We're going to have to move past our comfort zones. We're going to have to move past what we've been using and doing and the ways that we've been behaving that have been tried and true for far too long. This is an energy that has become stale and stagnant and a little bit monotonous in our lives that we're going to be wiggling out of. This is also an energy with Uranus, which is in retrograde as a part of this configuration. Uranus in retrograde represents a bottling up of internalized rebellion. And so although there's this energy that requires us to rebel, it's almost as if we've been bottling it up for several months for far too long and letting it sit and stagnate, and all of a sudden it comes out of us like an explosion. People are going to be making shocking changes left and right. You're going to see people in your lives doing things that you never would have expected them to do, and you might be doing the same. This is a trigger point for that energy. This is where we're finally breaking out of an energy that's been stuck, that's been repressed, that's been blocking us, and saying no to the changes, to the revolution we want to create for ourselves in our own lives. And so this is a very exciting energy. Mercury, as a part of this configuration on the opposite end of the moon, is also going to be cazimi at the time of the eclipse. This is so powerful and so positive because this is going to provide us an insight into something that's been holding us back, something that's been causing us to feel caged up or restricted or limited in our ability to have the freedom, the independence to do the things that we need to do, that we need to move into. Maybe it's been because there have been rules or regulations or outside sources of authority that have been telling you no. Maybe it's because you've been procrastinating or holding yourself back out of fear. Whatever it is, this Mercury cazimi is going to provide that insight through the eclipse, and it's going to be powerful, and it's going to be shocking, and it's going to be something that's going to rattle you. It's not going to be a comfortable insight. It's not going to be a comfortable revelation of information. It's almost as if you're going to have to face something about yourself or about your life that's been buried beneath the surface that you didn't want to address, but now that you see it, it's hidden in plain sight, and you have to utilize that information. You have to create the change. I love this energy, but again, there are going to be a lot of people resisting it. There's going to be a lot of people wanting to control the outcome because of all the fixed energy that's occurring. and being activated so heavily at the time of this eclipse. Just know that with eclipses, you cannot control or predict the outcome. You can know the themes, you can understand what's changing and what needs to be changed, but this is really a time to allow yourself to be guided by something higher, to be guided by a higher realm, your higher self, to be guided by God, the universe, whatever it is that you kind of believe in as a source of inspiration, as a source of guidance. There is something bigger at play right now. There's a bigger story that's unfolding, and part of that story is very literally being eclipsed. You cannot fully see all of the information and understand everything that's happening or why it's happening just yet. But later on down the line, when you look back on this, it's going to make much more sense, and you'll have that clarity, that hindsight. But as for right now, I always tell people around the time of the eclipses, don't hold on too rigidly to your plans. You're going to have some unexpected outcomes to the things that you engage with, that you initiate, and that you encounter around the time of this eclipse. And that's okay. You might not get what you want, but you're going to get exactly what your soul needs. This is going to help to propel you forward into your path, your purpose, in a way that is not comfortable, but it's because it's something new. It's something exciting. It's something that you've never done or embraced before. And so allow that space, that wiggle room for messages to come in, for the signs, the synchronicities, the energies to guide you in the right direction. This is also, just to kind of go back on this, the moon in this eclipse is exalted in the sign of Taurus. And so this is actually a more positive energy than that initial eclipse that we had that carried out or set off the eclipse season. That one was in the sign of Scorpio, where the moon is at its fall. We also had Venus at its detriment, which was combust, still is, but that was an eclipse where it's almost as if there's something that was fated that you wanted to jump into, that you wanted to initiate, but the energy wasn't supportive of it. And again, there's this need to pivot. There's a need to let go or release something toxic in your life in order to make space to move into that new direction, in order to make space for the next stage of your evolution. Right now, this is about carrying forward something that has already probably been set in motion by that Saturn-Uranus square energy, which we've been talking about again for like almost 2 years now, because it's been present for that long. But this is that like final push to catapult you into breaking down any last barriers or foundations that are working against you in some way. And speaking of eclipses in general, I have a free resource to help carry you through and guide you through the eclipse season. My Karmic Power of Eclipses webinar is once again out there and available for all of you to access. It's a 2-hour webinar. It's typically a paid webinar that's reserved for the Cosmic community, and I'm offering it to you for free to help you understand the eclipses by transit, eclipses in your birth chart, pre and postnatal eclipses, and so much more. You'll have everything you need to know about eclipses. The link for that is down below. Also, I just want to mention for this particular eclipse to help guide you and carry you through, because it is such a powerful and sort of earth-shattering energy in a lot of ways, I'm teaming up with Marisa, Cottrill from All My Ancestors to do a full moon, blood moon eclipse ceremony. You can find the link for that down in the description below. It's going to be held on the day of the eclipse. You won't want to miss this. I'm going to be providing special guidance, deeper insight into the eclipse energy, and Marisa will be doing a ritual ceremony at the end to help carry you through this energy and to help you kind of align your energies and intentions with what's going on astrologically. And so again, the link for that is down in the description below. And so, yeah, getting back into the energy of the eclipse, we have Uranus retrograde being triggered. The Uranus North Node conjunction is also being triggered. So this is also going to help carry out or bring forth an energy that was initiated previously in the summer when we had the Uranus North Node conjunction come exact with Mars in the mix. And so that was around the time of July 31st. You would have been feeling it all of July and August. This was a a life-changing energy where something shifted in a major way, and you might not have seen it carry out or play out fully just yet. This eclipse is going to take it to the next level. It's kind of like you initiated or started a change, or something was rattled or shaken up in some way, and now it's going to be catapulted forward full force onto that next level. And so that's a really exciting energy. So if you think back to that time, you're going to get a lot of information about what could be changing or shifting even more so this time around. It's kind of like you set the stage for it, or something was set in motion, and now is where the follow through, the culmination starts to happen. And so I also want to mention for your particular chart a few key things that you want to look at in order to get the most out of this forecast, because it is such a big energy. I want you to have all of the information. And so make sure you download my Astrology 101 PDF guide. You're going to get all of the information about the signs, planets, houses, aspects, and more. And from there, you're going to want to take a look at your birth chart and see, first off, which houses are occupied by Taurus and by Scorpio, and what do those houses represent? What are the topics associated with those houses? Look it up in the guide and know that those topics are going to be up for change, like major dramatic change and transition. You also want to see if you have any of your natal planets in the fixed signs. The fixed signs, of course, which you'll see in the guide, are Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, and Leo. And so if you have any of your planets in those signs, the significations of those planets, the energies tied to those planets, which you'll see in the guide, will also be subject for change in a way that's very disruptive and challenging. Likewise, if you have planets in the water signs, which are Scorpio, Cancer, and Pisces, you're going to be having a lot of change related to the significations of those planets, but that change will be much more gentle and it'll be experienced in a way that is very positive. With the exception of Scorpio, that's going to be more of a mixed energy. You also want to see which houses are ruled by those planets that you have in the fixed signs or in the water signs, because those houses and the topics associated with those houses will again be subject to major transformation and change. And so take all of this into account as we move into the forecast for all 12 signs. Okay, and so a couple of things for the next 2 weeks before we get into that forecast for all 12 signs. So after the eclipse energy settles, which will be activated and reactivated for basically an entire week after the eclipse, we're going to have those Uranus, Saturn activations going on. But shortly after that, on November 15th, we're going to have a really positive energy that will help carry out something in a more adaptive sort of way, in a gentle sort of way. So this is going to be Venus and Scorpio in trine with Jupiter. Venus is still at its detriment, but in trine with Jupiter, it can bring amazing, really powerful, beneficial energies, because Jupiter is in its home sign of Pisces and it's supporting Venus. Anything that you've been wanting to do involving, maybe major financial decisions, purchases, involving women, involving relationships, involving agreements or negotiations, those things that I talked about 2 weeks ago that were all going to be a little bit wonky. This is a time period where you have some grace, you have some ease, you have the ability to carry things forward. A couple days after that, on November 19th, we're going to be having Mars retrograde squaring Neptune for the third time, and actually for the second time. It's been squaring Neptune this entire period because it's stationed in square with Neptune. Definitely check out my video about the Mars retrograde, where I go into the impact for all 12 signs, and I go very deep into this energy to get a better overview of how this is going to impact you personally. But basically, this is an energy where there's going to be a lot of action and a lot of anger and aggression that is initiated or that is projected outward as a result of confusion and misinformation. You don't have all the facts, you can't see things clearly, and you're jumping to conclusions. You're pushing that send button on that angry email, and you're going to put your foot in your mouth. You're going to regret it later. So just know that as we come into these next couple of weeks, that whatever it is that you're very enthusiastic about, whatever it is that you're really amped up about, whatever it is that you're really passionate about, it might be born out of something that isn't quite right or isn't quite real. So make sure that you're really thinking things through and you're getting down to the facts of the situation before you initiate, before you move forward. All right, and so that is the general overview. Now let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs, beginning of course with Aries and Aries rising. For Aries and for Aries rising, this energy is causing you to break free from stuck, stale, stagnant energy that is no longer serving you, no longer working for you when it comes to your finances. In order to do this though, you're going to have to act a little bit rebelliously. You're going to have to do things that go against the grain, against the status quo, that are outside of the norm for you, and just kind of on a general level as well. Looking at unusual or different ways of creating, generating, saving, and utilizing your resources. Part of what's causing you to get stuck in this area could potentially be caring a little too much about what other people think about what it is that you're doing with your money, or the way that you're earning your money, or the way that you're saving or spending or utilizing your financial situation. This is an energy of needing to break free from the confines of social structure, of social niceties, of social norms. This is about not caring what other people think about what you're doing and doing it because this is what you know you need to do. These are the changes that you know you need to make. Other people in your life don't need to understand it, and you're going to get that insight. You're going to get a very powerful download, inspiration, or kind of like a burst of genius energy when it comes to dealing with a very difficult or turbulent financial situation that has already arisen or is potentially coming up for you at the time of this eclipse. And it could even be that there's a message that comes in through an outside source or about an outside source of income, and that shakes things up. That gets your gears turning. That gets you thinking about new and exciting ways of investing your money, paying off your debts, doing things with your finances that you never thought possible prior to this time. For Taurus and for Taurus rising. So for Taurus, this is happening in your sign. And so, of course, you're going to be going through many different avenues of life-changing experience all at once right now, as you probably have been for the past few weeks, or really even for the past year or so, because this energy has been hitting you so intensively. Right now, you have the North Node, the Moon, and Uranus all floating around your midheaven, Sun or Moon, causing you to do things that are very different, very unusual, very outside of the box. You are breaking free from your comfort zones, and you are going to be shocking other people with the changes that you're making in your life, because these are things that you've never done before, and this goes completely against what other people expect of you. It's almost like there's been an energy these past few months of bottling up the need to make a major life change, and all of a sudden you feel inspired, you feel like you have to do it, or an outside circumstance comes up and forces your hand, and you have to finally turn your life upside down and move in this new direction. It could also be right now that your relationships are a source of inspiration around the time of this eclipse, where you get a message from a partner or a friend or somebody who maybe you're even in some sort of business partnership with, and that causes you to think about things a little bit differently. That causes you to work with the energy a little bit differently. This is the time for you to do things that are very outside of the box and to not care about prior notions about who you are. It's a time to not care about what other people think that you should be doing or about who you've been in the past. This is about who you are now and who you're going to be in the future, and this is a very different person than who you have previously been. There could also be a difficult career situation that's been very stifling, that's been very draining, that's been very heavy, and that's been preventing you from rebelling against your current circumstances. Now's the time where you could potentially get the insight you need to move in that new direction. Right now, Taurus, you are up for change in terms of who you are and the way that you show up in the world, your whole direction in life. Your career path is up for change, your home life and living environment is up for change, and your relationships are up for change. There's a brand new beginning that has been unfolding. It's a story that's been unfolding for many months now, but this is really that final culmination of you really catapulting into the new experience. For Gemini and for Gemini rising. So for Gemini, this is happening in your 12th house, which is the house of secrets, things that are hidden. It's also the house of hidden enemies and self-undoing, and there could be issues pertaining to those topics that are coming up for you around the time of this eclipse that maybe don't feel so good, but that are causing you to recognize that there's a repeating cycle or a repeating pattern in your life that's been coming up over and over and over again, that's conflicting with your integrity, that's conflicting with your worldview, that's causing you to have to make a shift, make a change, and release something once and for all. This is also a time for Geminis where you're going to be getting very powerful downloads and messages through that subconscious or unconscious realm, through your dreams, through meditations, through altered states of consciousness, through whatever it is that you are more susceptible to getting information from. This is going to be the time where that information will come, and that will cause you again to reach this culmination point where it's time to move on, it's time to move into something new. There is an insight that could come to you from the area of health, work, daily routines, your coworkers. This is also the area of pets or of service. And so there's something going on here where you're going to get an inspiration or an idea or some sort of insight from that realm or from that area. And that could potentially be an insight about a need to let go of certain areas of busyness in your day-to-day reality and routines. Or it could be an insight about maybe letting go of illness and moving into healing. It could also be a need to balance work and day-to-day activities and rest that comes up for you right now. But whatever it is, it's going to be a shift in that direction where you're going to be moving more toward spending time on your own, spending time in solitude, spending time potentially in isolation, but that's going to cause you to make a lot of major breakthroughs, and it's going to cause you to break down a lot of what's no longer serving you from your past that you've been repeating way too many times and for way too many lifetimes. For Cancer and for Cancer rising. So for Cancer, this full moon, blood moon eclipse is happening in your 11th house, which is the house of friends, group associations, networks of people that you surround yourself with by choice. And this could see you moving in a brand new direction with your friendships. You could have very new and unusual connections coming through in very unexpected ways. Your friends that you already have could also do things that shock you, that shake things up, that change you and your dynamic with your friends in a big way. This is also where your friends are a source of inspiration when it comes to rebelling or revolutionizing your life in some way. I really love this, especially in the area of finance, where there could be some hardship, some difficulty, some stagnant energy, especially when it comes to debt, taxes, inheritance, other people's money, and joint finances through marriage. This is a time where your friends might be a source of inspiration of how to break the mold, break out of complacency, and move into a better financial foundation for your future. This is also a time where you might feel very inspired or have some sort of insight that comes to you through your passions, through your hobbies, through your interests, through your creative self-expression. And this could also, I would say for some of you, this could be an unexpected sexual attraction to a friend or somebody in your social circle that could come through, and that could be quite interesting. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. However, it's not going to be exactly what you think it is, or it's not going to play out in exactly the way that you think it will if that is the case. So just know that there's something about this situation or this relationship that is being eclipsed right now. So the outcome is not what you think it's going to be. It's going to be an upset from that, or like it's going to turn it upside down in some way. Or it could just be that it turns your whole friendship upside down. That could be part of it too. Or is a disruption to the dynamic of your social group, your friends circle. There's also an energy here of maybe if you have been focusing a lot on your children and raising children and, you know, that area of your life. If you're somebody who does have kids, this is where you're feeling like you need to rebel, break free, do something different, and have some time with some grown-ups. Maybe you want to go out and party. Maybe you want to have a drink with some friends. Maybe you want to open up your social circle a little bit more and experience new types of connections. Now would be the time where that would come through. It's probably going to come through regardless of whether or not you even seek it out with the energy of this eclipse. Okay. And so for Leo and for Leo rising. So for Leo, this full moon, blood moon eclipse is culminating in your 10th house. This is a big moment for you in your career. This is where you're going to be seen, recognized, and it's going to occur in a way that you never would have expected. This is going to catapult you into a brand new direction, into something very unusual, outside the box, different, exciting, revolutionary, ahead of its time when it comes to your work, when it comes to your career, when it comes to your business, when it comes to the energy that you put out there in the world at large, even if you're not working. This is the legacy that you leave behind after your working years and after you're no longer here on this planet. And so this is a big moment where something about that is changing. Something about what you're known for and recognized for out in the world is going to change in a way that you didn't even expect it to. It could even be that you're thrown into a new job or a new career path all of a sudden, and you're just like, what the heck, where did that come from? I wasn't anticipating doing something like this, but I guess here I am, let's do it, right? So that's part of that energy too. There's an insight about this that can really inspire you to break out of stagnant, stuck energy when it comes to your relationships, your work connections, and your career path. And that inspiration comes from the home. It comes from your family. It comes from your roots. It comes from behind the scenes and reverberates outward into your external presence out in the world. This is a time for Leos where your whole life could be going through yet another change. It's like the never-ending story of shifts and changes and pivots for Leos right now. And so this is you changing on a personal level, your work changing, your home life changing, your relationships changing, all of it. And this is so powerful. You're going to look back on this time and be like, holy crap, this was a crazy experience, but I'm really glad it happened, because before that, I didn't realize how stuck I really was. Okay, and so for Virgo, and so for Virgo and for Virgo rising, this full moon, blood moon eclipse, lucky Virgo, is happening in your 9th house, which is the house of adventure. It's the house of your beliefs. It's the house of your experiences that you gain through your beliefs, or your beliefs that you gain through your experiences, I should say. I did that a little backwards there. This is the house of higher education, of learning, of wisdom, of adventure, of travel. This is where you could potentially be thrown into some sort of really exciting, fated, karmic travel plan where all of a sudden you are going across the country or even to a different country, and it feels like it's part of your destiny. It's exciting, but you're nervous, and it's breaking you free from your comfort zones in so many ways, changing your mindset about the world, changing your beliefs on a religious, philosophical level, changing everything about your worldview, and that's going to reverberate into changing who you are and the way that you show up in the world. This could also be an unexpected opportunity for higher education that comes through. You could get an important message around the time of the eclipse with that Mercury Cazimi in your 3rd house that sends you on a quest for new knowledge, for higher wisdom, for a new teacher even. The one thing that's holding you back, or that has been holding you back from embracing these new, strange, weird types of studies and experiences and ideologies, is your work, your responsibilities on a day-to-day basis. But you're going to get the insight and the inspiration that will help you to break free from that so you can finally plunge full into something new. For Libra and for Libra rising, This full moon, blood moon eclipse is happening in your 8th house, which is the house of money, investments, resources that you get through not your work necessarily, not through your own labor, but through other people or through other sources. And so this is where that energy is going to be disrupted. There could be a disruption to an investment that you've made. There could be a disruption to a plan or a project that involves a loan or financing. There could be a disruption in your ability to get financing where it could either come through all of a sudden in a very shocking sort of way, or it could be taken away from you all of a sudden in a very shocking sort of way. This could bring unexpected circumstances that cause you to have to really not just pivot, but do like a 180 when it comes to things like taxes, inheritance, insurance payouts, your will. You know, that's part of that 8th house energy. Your partner's finances. If you are in a relationship, especially if you're married, this is a time where your partner's finances are up for unexpected and dramatic change. This could unlock something for you though. You've been feeling maybe stuck, stagnant, a little melancholy in the area of your passion. Maybe your sex life has been a little dull and that's been part of it too. But this newfound this new change in your financial situation could unlock the ability for you to pursue your passions in one way or another. There could be an inspiration or an insight in a way to create new resources through unusual forms of labor or different types of activities. And that could reverberate into your ability to invest or to use it in a different way. Just big changes financially across the board for Libra. These could be very good. These could be very difficult. It's probably mostly going to be a mixed energy where it's like, this is challenging, but I see where this is going and it's going to lead to something good. For Scorpio rising. So for Scorpio, this full moon is happening in your 7th house, which is the house of relationships. Big changes in relationships for Scorpio. This could be your marriage partner or your significant other moving into a brand new, unusual direction that's very shocking, that's very different from what you had previously known from them or what they had previously been doing. And this is you needing to focus a little bit less on your own needs, your own development, your own changes that you're creating in your life in order to support other people in what they are trying to change, what they're trying to shake up. And even if that's not in a romantic partnership, it could be in friendships, it could be in the work that you do, maybe one-on-one with people. Maybe there's a lot of people who are going through very disruptive situations right now, and the work you do is, you know, very involved with them and you're supporting them through it. That would be a very literal manifestation of this energy. This could also be a time where family relationships are up for change. There's been some sort of difficulty, hardship, some energy weighing on you behind the scenes in your home or with your family dynamic, where all of a sudden it shifts, there's a breakthrough and something finally, like the dam finally bursts and the floodgates are open and it's just happening now. That change is moving forward. Whether you wanted to or not, this is what's happening, and so you're going to have to kind of roll with it. This could also be new and exciting relationships coming in for Scorpios. If you are not in partnership, this could be a fated, very karmic new relationship that comes in very unexpectedly, or it's with somebody very unusual who you normally wouldn't consider dating even, and all of a sudden you find yourself in this relationship and it's not what you expected it to be, and the outcome of this is not going to be what you think it is either. There's something about this connection, if it's new, that is being eclipsed at this time, so keep that in mind as well. This is a time for Scorpios where your whole life has been going through this process of change for many months, but it's really reaching this culmination point where something, especially involving other people or partnerships that was initiated this summer, especially in July, August, around that July 31st was the peak of it, is really reaching this culmination. It's finally being set in motion. You're finally seeing the major pivots in your life that you've been needing to see. And this could also be impacting your home life, your personal experience, the way that you show up in the world, and also your career and your work. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, this blood moon, full moon, lunar eclipse could be bringing you a big shakeup when it comes to your daily routines, your work that you do out in the world, your day-to-day work experience, your relationships with your coworkers or employees. And this could also bring a shakeup or a change involving animals or pets, if that's applicable to you as well. It could be that an unexpected new animal comes into your life, an unexpected pet. It could also be that there could be a shift in the dynamic of energy there, or something unexpected could happen involving your pets as well. Although I think that this would be more of a breakthrough than something that could be potentially challenging in that way. So I would say though, pay attention to your health and take extra care to protect your health and also the health of your animals, again, if that's applicable to you. This is a time where there could be a disruption to your daily routines and a disruption to your health that causes a disruption to your daily routines. And so you want to make sure that you're caring for yourself and also that you're just planning really lightly right now. Like, you're not going to be able to stick to any sort of schedule around the time of this eclipse, and really even for the couple weeks before and after. This is where that energy of Uranus in your 6th house, which has been playing out for quite some time, is amplified to an extreme where all of a sudden you think that you're doing something, you think that you have a plan set in motion, you think that you're getting a really good health routine or workout routine or work routine in motion, and then the second you get it in place, something shows up and turns it upside down or disrupts it in some way. This could also be you feeling very rebellious against your current work situation. And so if you are somebody who's maybe working for somebody else, you could feel like you want to change something up, you want to get a new job, you want to start a new project, you want to engage in your work in a new, exciting, and more meaningful way. There's a message that could come through your dreams, through meditation, through altered states of consciousness, through the subconscious realm in general, that could come through and that could cause you to want to change, again, these areas of your life. It's almost as if you have a sudden insight and you're like, oh my gosh, this is what I should have been doing all along. This is what I need to be doing. There could also be an energy of, maybe wanting to shift away from hiding out or resting and feeling like you really need to take on new projects. You need to do things that are different at this time. This could also be an energy where if you are somebody who is the owner of a business or in a management position, there's a major change when it comes to your employees. Maybe somebody quits unexpectedly, or you have to hire someone unexpectedly, or something with the dynamic changes and it's very disruptive. But luckily, after that disruption is finished, it looks as though this is going to be something that's important for the evolution of your business. For Capricorn and Capricorn rising, this full moon, blood moon, lunar eclipse is happening in your 5th house. So lucky Capricorn, this is actually a really nice energy. This is an energy where the full moon is going to be in trine with your ascendant sun or moon, and there's going to be a lot of really positive change that propels you forward into the direction of your passions in a way that is very fated, very karmic, that's very synchronistic, where all of a sudden the doors open up, the seas part, and you are able to walk right into doing that thing that's very unusual, that's very revolutionary, that's very different from what you've done before, but you are so deeply and truly passionate about it that you can't stop yourself. This is also an energy for Capricorns. I should warn you, if you're not planning to if you're not planning to become pregnant, this is an energy of, unexpected children coming into your life. And so that's something to just have an awareness around. And if you are planning to do that, then this could be a really good thing for you. But it might come about at a time or in a way that's unusual or unexpected for you. So keep that in mind as well. This could also be a disruptive energy or an unexpected circumstance or opportunity that comes up for you involving children that you already have, where something about that dynamic changes or an opportunity comes up for them to change direction, change schools, join some, program or something like that wasn't available to them prior. And this disrupts your life in a very positive way though. This is also where there could have been roadblocks financially to you pursuing your passions and your dreams and the things that you really love to do. And this is where you could get some insight that could come through a friend or a social network or a group of people that you surround yourself with that could allow you to open yourself up to doing the things that you love a lot more, and maybe even doing it for profit someday. So that's what's going on for Capricorn. For Aquarius and Aquarius rising. So for Aquarius, this full moon, blood moon, lunar eclipse is happening in your 4th house, which is the house of home, family, property, real estate, all of those things. This is where I would say a lot of Aquarians, if you haven't already moved, or even if you have already moved, this could be a lot of Aquarians, especially Aquarius rising people, changing their location very literally, moving to a new home or changing something about your living situation very dramatically, very drastically, and very quickly all of a sudden. This could be a change that was originally set in motion, or there was some sort of energetic initiation into it in the summer around July or August, involving your family dynamic, involving your home, involving maybe your relationships with your parents or other close family members, that all of a sudden it carries forward in a big way. The changes fully take hold around this eclipse season. And so that could be really exciting for you. There's an insight that comes to you potentially from the outside world, from somebody you look up to, from somebody in a position of power and authority, or through your career or your work in general, that causes you to have to shift or change something in your home life. It could be that you get a message literally from your boss and you realize, all right, I guess they're relocating me and I'm moving to this different location. It could be something as literal as that, or it could be that something that somebody you look up to says that causes you to realize you need to change it up. You need to do something differently behind the scenes in order to accomplish your goals outside in the world at large. And so for Aquarius, this is another sign where all areas of your life are going to be open for change. You yourself are going through a lot of changes. Your home life, your relationships are up for major changes as well, and your career path. For Pisces and for Pisces rising. So for Pisces, this energy is actually hitting you quite nicely. We have this energy of the moon, Uranus, and the North Node in your 3rd house, which could disrupt communication. It could disrupt issues or topics pertaining to vehicles or short distance travel. So it could be that all of a sudden something happens and you have to get a new car, or your car stalls out and you're late for a really important appointment, and that changes everything. It could be a change in your dynamic with your neighbors. It could be getting a new neighbor and that being a very disruptive or weird situation, or that person being odd or unusual, but it's something that you're probably in the long term going to want to embrace. This is also just very unusual information, knowledge, communication coming in from all directions right now, where you're like, what the heck is this? What is going on? This is a paradigm busting sort of energy where you thought you knew something very well, and all of a sudden you realize you had no idea what you were talking about because you have this new information and it does not compute. It does not add up in the way that you thought it did. So you have to change your mind about something, or you have to teach it in a different way, or speak about it in a different way. And that could actually be uncomfortable for you, because it's kind of like having to admit that you were wrong and then all of a sudden having to go about it in a completely different way. But luckily, again, this is going to benefit you in the long term. This is a great time, Pisces, for gaining new insight through travel, through connections with other people, through higher educational pursuits, through taking courses, and through just connecting with teachers, connecting with people who have greater knowledge than you on the topic that you're seeking. And this is going to help you to really change a lot about who you are and the direction that you're moving into in this world. So I love that energy. And yeah, so that's what's going on for Pisces. And so that is my forecast for all 12 zodiac signs. In the next 2-week forecast, we're going to be discussing the new moon in Sagittarius, which will usher us out of eclipse season and into the Sagittarius season. And So this new moon is not making any super close aspects, except it's making a wide conjunction with Venus and with Mercury, both of which are technically going to be combust. And so this is going to bring up some potential issues with communication and relationships that we'll definitely get into when we get into that forecast in 2 weeks. So definitely make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss that. But this is going to be an adventurous new moon energy. This is going to be a new moon energy where we're taking all of these changes. We're kind of it's almost like we're settling into the disruptions, to the changes, to the things that are new in our lives that we have experienced during this eclipse season. And we're excited about it all of a sudden. We're enthusiastic about this new adventure. And so I love this new moon in Sagittarius. We'll talk about it a lot more in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, let me know in the comment section below how these eclipses have been impacting you. I'm always interested to hear and to learn through your experience. Also, make sure you share this with your friends if you feel like they could benefit from the information that I shared with you today. And thank you again. I will see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.